Can you still see?
Beautiful group of people.
Which is really weird for this group.
Yes.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, teacher.
Hi.
Thank you all for coming. So plan is I'm just gonna give my little spiel here, and then if we get into conversation, it's just gonna end up being like hours. So we're not gonna do that tonight. It's just like here it is, and then we're just gonna go into the experience of community, and then you can let it sit with you over the next couple of days, and if this vision aligns with y'all's dreams and goals and desires, and there's room for working together, then so it is. So community. That's ultimately why we're here. My motivation is there's many factors involved, but basically, Olivia and I's mom got separated. We got divorced like 10 years ago, 11 years ago, and the journey of having this child that is incredibly outgoing and social, and every time we get around a group of people, this side of her just lights up, just super personality, just like yes, takes over the show. So to see that and to have that energy, and then be in a situation where the grind of every day and just going to work and dropping her off, and sometimes it's 6:15 in the morning and going to work, and then I got to make extra money to pay for the childcare, and then picking her up, and then it's going home, and then making dinner, or then jiu-jitsu class and dinner, and it's just it's a lot of energy. And when it felt very unnatural, not having community, not having support. I feel like the statement, it takes a village, like when we're talking about kids, that's really the biggest thing here for me. Eventually a school is part of this vision, but yeah, that's been hard, and I wouldn't wish that for anybody, to not have the support doing that. And it's all good. It gives me, gives me strength. It's all good. We are here, and to learn from this, and to say, we've had some really good conversation lately about this idea of surrender and acceptance, and it's just basically like, I think the practice of loving what is and finding peace and contentment and happiness when things the way they are is very important. It's absolutely part of this journey, and that's what gets us through every day. And having a vision, having dreams and goals and desires and ambitions is what gets us through the year. And having something that we're moving towards, saying that, like, I have, what am I willing to accept and what am I not? God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. The acceptance is only part of the fucking equation. So, I'm kind of done with the accepting part. I'm doing the best I can, and I've been just being patient, but like a lot of what's happening out there right now, I don't agree with, and the experience has been just me trying to do my thing and knowing my own truth, and basically almost every turn is just people that don't get it, or I'm weird or too extreme, and everybody's just feeding the kids a bunch of garbage and giving them iPads when they're 3 years old, and like every step of the way, it's like I am so grateful for all of you and the tribe that is here and the tribe that has formed here in Reno. It's really quite amazing. So the other factor is just the financial aspect, the fact that it's been surviving. The reality is I would love to have more time to dedicate to my daughter, and more time to work on myself, and more time to connect with community, and more time to travel and to do all of these things, but bills had to be paid, and that's the reality that most of us are in. So a lot of what I'm going to talk about is based on the financial aspect of this, because it's the reality that we all live in. And until financial stability, financial sustainability, financial freedom on a real level, which to me means like college education's paid for, next couple generations like taken care of, like real financial security, that is where this power is, because we step out of this place of our body pumping fucking cortisol all day long and into a place of like, okay, what can I do from this balanced space? When I really tap in, or if I have the opportunity to really just connect and balance myself out or do whatever I need to do, then this natural childlike creative flow starts to come in, and it's really a magical thing. And I have not gotten to experience it all that much because it's a fucking grind out there. So I want for all of us to have the freedom to do this a lot more often. That's, and to support each other and to show up. If there's anything I learned from that one retreat I did at the Domes, it was that human connection, human bonding is the most healing thing that we have. All the other stuff is nice, but it's like literally like the humans just getting together and having the opportunity to drop out of all the stress and the busyness of life and connect. And after a couple days, really, you see it, you feel it, like the stuff lessens and people start to loosen up and become more childlike, and the laughing and the playing, and that is so healing. And I believe that we can all believing in the potential of human beings to work together and collaborate as our tribal ancestors did for a long time. And integrating that with the modern day luxuries and privacy and separateness that we've all kind of gotten accustomed to. So the reality is this integration of these two worlds, and we can have both. So this is us. We live in this world that, just truth is, our ancestors lived like wild people, and they did magic, and then a force came in and took over, and there's been slavery for thousands of years. So again, coming back to that surrender thing and acceptance. Accept another form of slavery that has been handed down by the same fucking system that has controlled all of my ancestors. Like literally, our ancestors have been fighting for freedom for thousands of fucking years, every step of the way. So we are really close. We are really close to being able to step the fuck out of this and create something that is sustainable and separate, and we can participate when we want. But I will not accept that. I will not accept how many people are starving on the planet. I will not accept how much poverty there is. I will not accept this form of slavery, which is a little bit nicer and more convenient, and everyone's just kind of accepted it. Well, it's just like, well, it's better than that form of slavery over there, so we got all our toys and gadgets and it's comfortable, so I guess this is good enough. But like, no, it's not good enough. We all deserve better. That's what I'm here to say and to represent. So right now, we all have our separate little isolated worlds, and we get together and we see community, and we're like, oh, this is so nice, and then we go back into our isolated little bubbles, and we're all going through our struggles of loneliness and battles with our stuff without as much support as we could have, I'd say. And it takes a different way of thinking to really like step into this. We're talking about a very different way of thinking, a very different way of living. And what that means is this whole group, a group this size, looking at each other as family. What does that mean? It means you work shit out if there's something going on. It means it's fucking family. And so being here, it means I'm holding space for every single one of you, and all of this stuff and all of the things that could come to the table that could potentially create a lot of challenges, because it's, like, no joke, it's not simple. What we're talking about is very complex, and a bunch of people going into partnership together is not like, we have to be very real about what is involved in that and the reality. But I believe in the potential of humans, and I believe in our potential to work together, and I believe that the benefits of that far surpass the negatives or the challenges that will come from the little stuff that comes up. And by having the structure and all of the stuff in place, we can really prevent a lot of these things, the challenges that come up. So we're all working separate, kind of feeding this machine. So like we're all paying rent. We all have to go to work and we have to pay the bills. That's the reality of the situation. So all I'm basically saying is, okay, instead of us putting all our money to feeding this machine, which is paying off some other person's mortgage or like enriching some investment company, or basically like none of that resources, none of our value production and energy and effort is coming really back into our community. Very little into this community. It's going out. It's all getting outsourced. So it's like, what if we create a model where we pool our resources, pool our energy, start working together, and this comes back to support our community directly? What can we do from that space? This is more of just a business plan type frame here, but give you a sense of what the problems are. And this is what I was talking about, this dance that we're in, that is the reality of, I would love to say that we could just move off to an island somewhere and create our hippie commune and be hunky-dory, but the reality is money is going to be a big part of this until that mortgage is paid off, until we are in a place of like, really, like we have to keep playing this game. But I believe we are stronger together in numbers, and we can get there faster if we pool our energy and our resources. So, yeah, this is just another business plan thing. Yes, overall focus on self-sufficiency to prepare for possible zombie apocalypse. That is the most important one. No, but just, I am not here to get too much on the neg of what's going on, but the reality is shit's getting fucking crazy out there right now. And economically, things are really good right now. There's a lot of people that are predicting that it might not be that way for much longer. We could see an economic downturn in the next couple of years. That's just a true thing. I was a carpenter in 2009, 10, 11, and it was shitty. So things change. Things can change really fast, and I feel really vulnerable in that. And I just had to order fake vaccination cards. Yeah. And that's the reality of where we're at in this fucking country. Is that we're getting to that point, and not everybody agrees with this or whatever. But I'm not taking that fucking shot, and my daughter's not taking that shot. Everybody can do their own thing, but we're flirting with a line of like everything that America was built on is possibly going away. When we're talking about my right to travel being used as leverage, or like almost being blackmailed, where I have to do this thing, like, So, it is not, what I'm here to do is to demonstrate how a lot of negative energy can be channeled and transmuted into a vision, into a positive goal, because that's what we're here to do. It's just like there's a lot of force and charge there, and that's also part of that surrender thing. There's a part of like, I kind of need to feel it a little bit, because that's my fuel. That's that's giving me a strong fucking reason to take action and to do something about it. So this is essentially just the base of what we've been getting together with a few of us, Ross and Melody and Evan and Robert and a few other people for like 2 years now, and really talking about this. And I was really adamant about the political, social, interpersonal structure really being the foundation. The piece of land is not the foundation, like us being able to work together and having systems and procedures for how to work shit out when there's disagreements, and how, like, if anything's gonna not make something not work, it's gonna be that stuff. It's gonna be somebody bitching because somebody didn't clean the dishes well enough, and somebody having problems, and just, little petty stuff. Most, if you ever lived with anybody, it's just always little shit, really. So just having simple stuff. But the vision is not Chris Taylor buying a property and homesteading with his daughter. That is not the vision. Okay? vision is not Chris running an RV park by himself. I'm prepared for that. I am. I'm ready to do that if it's what comes forward. But the vision is a collective. Busted.
All right, what's the procedure for someone interrupting the group?
Yes. Public flogging. I'm up here for your spanking today. So, yeah. So, my experience in just looking at a lot of the communities that are out there, and seeing a lot of the time it's usually like a guy or a person that owns the property, and then everybody else is there working. There's lots of different models, but equality is a really important one. Like, if we're going to do this, the idea is purchasing a property as a collective. Equal shareholders, corporation. If there's loans that need to go because somebody's cash short and somebody else is able and willing to work that out, then it gets repaid as a repayment plan, working back towards level, where equal shareholders, equal parties. And then you work as like the council, the board of trustees, the tribe of elders. That's how decisions are made. That tribe of elders hires a CEO or the chief to kind of run things. So they have people that are good at their jobs, but ultimately the board, the tribe of elders, are the ones that are calling the shots. But everyone's equal. And what that means is consensus. It means that it was brought to my attention that any idea of democracy, even 1%, is like strychnine in the water. It just taints the whole thing. If it comes down to a vote, and whatever that percentage is, somebody was not heard. Somebody feels like somebody got outvoted. Somebody did not get their say. Somebody feels like they were not heard and honored in that situation. So what it really means to have that kind of format where everybody gets to have their say, and if they're not resolved, then you come back the next day or you sit with it for a while and say, how can we work this out? How can we find a solution so that we can compromise, find a compromise so that everybody agrees? And that's what our fucking Congress is supposed to be doing. But everything's polarized. Everybody's against each other. It's one side against the other. It's nonsense. Sovereignty. So again, the idea is the vision is not us all sharing a big house. It's a little too much. So coming back to the modern day luxuries and separateness that we've all gotten accustomed to, the reason that we have been after a trailer park or campground type model is for that reason. It's because it allows for these separate tiny home, mobile structures, units. Everybody have their separate private space. We can have the communal kitchen, the communal laundry, the communal lounge, the dance space, all of those things, and everyone has their separate private space that they can go to, and you put the purple flag on the door, that means leave me the fuck alone. And if that means, you want to, everybody, we all go into our caves, we all want to go into our caves, so it's just, again, like that's a piece that I feel is very important. That's a piece that's going to turn most people off, is when it's a little too much, and everybody's got to be, around the oatmeal in the morning chanting. Everything is optional. Okay?
You're not your home.
Yeah, I mean, we all agree it's a little too much. And most of the vision of hippie communes, like people immediately go like, oh man, drinking the Kool-Aid.
What color are the robes?
Huh?
What color are the robes?
I haven't thought about that. Yeah. Rainbow and sparkles now.
Sequins.
Okay, so commitment to growth. What does that mean? It means narcissists need not apply. Okay? It means, perfect example. Melody and I were having, something came up the other day. I was in a mood. And we were driving and some asshole cut her off in the car or something. And this is my dad. My dad came out at me. He's just like, that guy should be shot. Melody's like, whoa! That was really violent. Like, I'm not okay with that. moment, I have a choice. I can react and get defensive and say, fuck you, you know, or I can sit with it and say, it's like a little child being reprimanded. That's what it is. It's like, that's the feeling. It's like, oh, shit, I fucked up. And like, whatever. But like the ability to be humble enough to sit in a group of people that are offering constructive criticism about something you did, something you said, something that doesn't feel right, and be able to frickin' hear it and hear them and receive that and be willing to say, you know what? I'll think about that, or you know, respectfully respond to that, or just it takes a certain amount of humility and yeah, you know, commitment to growth. This lifestyle, I think, what brings us all together is just that desire to grow, that desire to improve, a desire to enhance our life, and a lot of people just seem to have settled and accepted less than what I want for myself and for all of you. You know, I want freedom. I want us all to have a level of freedom that enables us to take this group of people and go to Bali for the week, for the month, or to buy a property in Mexico and have that be the retreat option, or another property. And ultimately, the vision is like a hippie timeshare, where we have our property here, and then we have a property in Mexico, and then we have a property in Ecuador, and then we got one with hot springs in Chile. Like, this is all in the works. And everyone can buy into the, you know, one or two or whatever makes sense, you know. But having that freedom to travel, and a big thing that comes up on this vision is like, oh, we're gonna like move to this commune. I have to be like planted there. It's like, no, we live in the time of air travel and Teslas. Like, we can do whatever we want. We can have freedom. We can go to Mexico for a few months and then come back. That's okay. We're allowed to do that. We don't have to like move to Costa Rica and get all, you know, crazy about it. So this is what that looks like, what I just talked about. A lot of documents, a lot of thought, a lot of thinking about different procedures, different stuff that could come up, challenges, all of the situations, and being preventative, being proactive. What is going to create a challenge? How can we have some structure that is going to give us a outline of how to kind of diplomatically handle these situations and keep everybody copacetic and keep everybody happy? Are we good with that? You don't have to read all. So this is the property. The reason that I like this property is just one, because it's doable. Because right now I can't get a loan on a property. I can't, especially in a commercial property. But like the accessibility with the owner being willing to finance, it's only going to take $40,000 down payment to get in, and then the infrastructure. But just beyond that, the quickest path to cash flow, the quickest path to income. That's really what matters most in where we're at right now. Eventually, I have a bigger vision for a larger property, and more of like that retreat property where it's like something that we can not worry so much about having to make the money. But we're all kind of paying the bills right now, and we're all in this situation. And like I said, until the mortgage is paid off, it doesn't change. So cash flow, income. There's another property just right across the street from this that is 100 acres. So this is 3 acres. This is a 3-acre lot. I've got more pictures here. There it is. Chilcoot, California. First of all, never mind. We're going to get to this. There's another slide. There's another property across the street that's 100 acres. And it's 3 parcels, residential. So what that means is we could build 3 homes. You can do a big house, and you can do a side structure, and that's basically any residential property. So most of the properties in Washoe Valley, most of the properties in Verdi, first of all, they're really expensive, and just what you're allowed to do, the actual just what you're legally allowed to do in zoning. Most of the properties, if it's agricultural, industrial, you can't put a bunch of trailers on it. You can't put a bunch of houses on it. You can't have a bunch of people living on that property legally. If it's a residential property, you can't do it. Like Nate's property, it's beautiful. They can't do anything. You know what I mean? He can't have the trailers. They have that big house, and they're limited. But like the other property, the residential one, you're buying into a liability right from day one. You got bills, and like how is that property going to produce income? and then you're talking about to build the infrastructure, to just to start and do a foundation and to pour everything, hundreds of thousands of dollars just to get going, and build something after the purchase, and it's the same price. So it's just a little comparison. So this is right off of Highway 70. We clocked it. It is basically 25 minutes from the Spaghetti Bowl with no traffic. So it's really not that bad. It's basically the same distance that it was to the domes or up to Galena.
Wait, what's it zone?
This is commercial.
Commercial.
It used to be an RV park. That permit can be revived. That's really the reason why this is.
Perfect.
So you're
I
like
like it so
looking
much.
at like the little gas station right there. Is
What's that?
That's like the little Chilkoot gas station?
That is, no, that's not the gas, but it's literally kitty corner to the general store. Yeah, it's across from the Frosty.
Yeah.
So here's just some pictures of the lot. This is the road. The road right here. So yeah, there's the general store right there, and then there is a 4,000 square foot building on this lot. That is also at just the price per square foot to build. That's worth something. So this is our fucking dance space. Like priority number one for me. Well, maybe not one, but it's one of the top priorities. But this space over here it's already got this chimney. We can put a wood stove in there. We can get that floor pimped out. Like we can get a dance floor out there. Facts. I want to black out these windows, double insulate this wall. It's all underground. Like just we can just have this space and we can do our thing and we don't have to worry about the commercial liability insurance. A lot of the problems that they've been running into with the ecstatic dance is just like the financial aspect. They got to pay rent for the space and then all of these things, and then they have to ask $20 for people to come and dance. And it's like it's of course there's gonna be money, but I would love to be able to offer something and just have it be purely donation based and just have it and a regular thing. And the more community we have on site, then it makes it that much easier to do that. So just flip through. It's got a couple trees. It's lacking in the tree department, but we can plant some trees. It has 600 amp panel for the RV park. It has a shitload of power going to the building, and it has a septic system that was engineered for laundromat, restaurant, RV park. That's worth $100,000 right now in the ground. It has a 237-foot commercial well with drinking water that is also worth something. So those are some of the positives. The septic being the main one because that's huge. So basically, we'll get to that. So this is Frenchman Reservoir. I had never been up there.
It's gorgeous.
And it's like a 7-mile windy road. It's kind of like going into Stampede, just a really beautiful drive. And you get up there. And Robert told me that like the water is not necessarily like the cleanest or whatever, but as far as a recreation area, it's really beautiful. I saw a bald eagle up there the first time we drove up there, coming back down.
Awesome.
Actually, like pretty close to town, we saw an eagle.
Awesome.
So, so this is what I was just talking about. We've got the well, we've got the septic system, which is pretty huge. The electrical's all there. So if we were going to buy a raw piece of land, like you're starting from scratch. All the shit, all the utilities, that's just cash out of pocket that needs to go into that development infrastructure. Again, this is why this is appealing to me, because this stuff is there. And we can have like a quick, and not just that, but the time, every mortgage payment is money. So how quickly can we turn this over and get money coming in and get profit coming in? The permit for the trailer park, it's huge. It's permitted for 16 RVs and 4 mobile homes.
Nice.
So, and we can, so the mobile home thing might not work. It's just like, they're kind of expensive, and just for what we'd actually rent it out for, it'd make more sense just to try to get more RV spots. But this is just like the preliminary drawing that I did for the layout. I think maybe it would make sense to just angle the spots a little more, but it's all not something we need to concern ourselves right now. But running a water line, putting new septic lines in, all that stuff was ripped out. So that's basically the main thing that needs to happen as far as development goes, is the septic. The The tank's over here. A new smaller tank would need to go in over here because it's just too far and you don't have the drop, so we have to like lift this up 7 feet. You know, it wouldn't work. So you got another tank and pump it over. But we're talking about like 30 grand worth of work to get this up to the point where, as a business, we can fully, in order to get permitted and legally start renting it out. And if nobody is in this vision, that's basically what's going to happen. Is I'm going to run around the RV park in Barrio, and a bunch of people that are their rent's about to go up to $1,000 a month for a fucking RV spot, and be like, hey, we got an option for $500-600 up here, and just start renting out the spots. And run the business and have it be. That's not ideal because then I'm running a business and I'm opening it up to all these different people, and it'd be fine, it'd be good. But ideally, it'd be a bunch of RPs filling those spots, and it would change the energy significantly. So potential negatives: the train. People have talked about that. For me, that's like a bunch of land behind your property that's used for 10 minutes a day. That's vacant and open. And it's not going to be developed. Huh?
They don't honk the horn all the time.
It goes through 3 times a day. It's really not that bad. Melody brought up a good point. It's like imagine like a little kid perspective. It's like, oh yeah, the train. Look at it. Wait, you know, we can look at it like that. We can see it like that. It doesn't have to be such a fast thing. And anybody that has sleeping problems, you put earplugs in. So, the road, being right on the road, obviously that's like, I think, obviously the idea would be more of like this property off in the jungle or off in the woods somewhere where we can really like have this retreat thing again. Right now, step one is making money. And then we can expand and buy, or maybe this property, we outgrow it and we buy a different one, or just leave this operating as a business and buy something else, whatever it looks like.
Is it fenced in?
No, it's fenced on 2 sides. It is on the 2 sides. I would want to build a fence on the front. Yeah, on the front, pretty. Yeah, I would probably want to build a fence right here. Another thing that's brought up is that the neighbors, seeing a bunch of hippies move in, are going to perceive things a certain way. And so it would be very important for us to make the right impression. So I'm just like, our thing with freedom, equality, sovereignty, just big old signs on the fence, big old American flag.
Probably a Trump sign.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to go that far. American flag's fine. But just not give the wrong impression. Everyone's going to make assumptions, so we want to know that ahead of time. Make the right impression so we make friends in the hood. Okay? But my experience was, I went into the general store, I didn't have a mask. I was like, oh shit, I walk in. And then they're just like, you're fine. And nobody's wearing a mask. I'm like, yes! This is California. So you get into more rural areas, a little bit different. So again, like that's one of the negatives that people have said. It's in California. Which is like, well, yes, it is in California, and that could. Rural California is a lot different than LA and San Francisco, and most of California is full of a bunch of good old boys and rednecks. So that's comes back to democracy. Like you imagine living in a state where it's like half of the people don't agree, and then you just watch the whole state go blue or something. It's like, that those people probably feel pretty dishonored. Like your vote doesn't count. So democracy has some flaws.
Is it more of the property tax of California?
Yeah,
Than
that's a great question.
Yeah, it's 1% of the sale price. So yeah, and my experience has been Plymouth County has been awesome every step of the way. Every time, building department, planning department, even the housing and community development of California, everybody's been super responsive, easy to get a hold of, like really helpful. It's been great. So everything I've heard about Washoe County, it's like Washoe County is more fucking California than Plymouth County is. So, and it's too far. Yeah, that's the thing. We can plant trees. It's too far. It's really not that far in reality. And it's a beautiful drive. And compared to Washoe Valley or basically Washoe Valley, Paradise is way it would cost way too much, and it would be really challenging to make that happen, or even find the property that works. But it's really, the views and the drive is amazing, and long. What's up?
How close to Frenchman's?
It's at the base of the road. So it's 5-minute drive up the road. So it's right there. So future-wise, I see, like, just think about long-term. Think about how trucking was 50 years ago. Imagine, like, we could be the dudes that own half of downtown trucking. Dudes and chicas that own half of downtown. Just thinking long-term. Expanding. Chilkoot is nothing right now, but Cold Springs, 15 minutes down the road, is blowing up. So it's just a matter of time. And compared to any other city like Austin, like 25 minutes doesn't even get you halfway across town. And you just look at how things expand, and the humans keep making babies and they keep populating. So real estate is long-term a pretty good bet. And just everything's moving towards this camping, RVing industry. There's a lot of movement in that direction. There's a lot of reasons why the property, for that reason, makes a lot of sense, but also this location, just being right on Frenchman. And the road, instead of being a negative, like this adds to the commercial value, where it's just like, okay, we can get a couple food trucks out there this summer and get that going. We can have a little farm stand and start selling veggies, start selling bread, start selling tea and coffee, start selling fucking jewelry, whatever. I mean, it's right on the road. There's a lot of traffic on that road.
That would let us sell stuff at the store too.
That too. So yeah, so there's...
The owner of the store there is just like us. So.
Yeah, he's a young guy. He's
actually... He thinks like us.
He's actually a draftsman, and he's going to help me draw up the plans, but that's the next door neighbors. So that's a good thing. So most of this I already talked about. Why this property? The owner's willing to finance 90% of it. That is really huge.
Jesus.
What?
Damn.
So, and the guy's, he's an arborist. The guy, like, he owns a few other properties. There's like 4 signs on that strip of like for sale by owner. They're all his. And he still has a tree business, and he's just like, he's a good old boy. He's a good dude. And I asked him if he was willing to come down on the price, and he just said, at this point, it's not worth it to him. He knows the property has a lot of potential, and usually when somebody's offering 90% owner financing, you can't really negotiate too much. But even if it is a little bit overpriced, which some people could say, compared to some of the other properties that have sold recently, there aren't many commercial ones, first of all. So most of the properties don't have this business potential, so it's hard to kind of compare. But even then, getting into something now, even if it's at a little bit of a premium, 2 years from now, it's well worth it with the way things are going. Just to be able to actually get in on something, sink our teeth into something, and get it going. The RV park permit, that's what makes this vision possible. The idea of separate spaces, so we're not all sharing a house and bathrooms, so we have our separate spaces. That is important, I think, to everybody. Commercial septic and well, the electrical's all there. The rural, small town vibe, the location to me is really beautiful and amazing. The square foot, the building is just, it's huge. And the property can make money. That is the big thing. So, here's the cost.
Monthly?
Yeah, if we do a 20-year mortgage, the difference in interest from a 20-year, 30-year mortgage is like $100,000. It's astronomical. So the shorter the terms, the quicker we can pay that thing off, the better. So basically what that means is with 5 of us at $500-600 a month, we got the mortgage paid. With 10 of us, we have double the mortgage coming in every month. But this is just talking about like what we're already paying for rent right now. Again, paying off somebody else's mortgage, making some investment company richer, like coming back, paying off our mortgage.
Yeah.
The more people we have, the quicker that mortgage gets paid off, the quicker we get to a situation where now we're talking about real freedom. Now we're talking about, okay, we own this property outright and it's making money. So no free rent for and plus income, like that's a pretty doable thing. So those numbers work, in my opinion. What happened to this one? So property development goals, business income. So yeah, the initial setup, $12,000 to $15,000. That's just first phase. Like I want to build out a couple apartments in that building so they can be used however we want. But in the beginning, just having space. So not everyone has a trailer, has the tiny home, has all that set up, but having some spaces or some living area where we can start. Getting the basic communal area, the laundry set up. The very first thing that needs to happen is getting electric to the pump, getting the pump, like a new pump house manifold, it's going to be like probably $8,000 to $10,000 to get that going. But after that, we got water, we got electric, we're rolling. Plant trees. I think that's a good thing to do. So we're just talking about the revenue from the apartments. So the RV park. So these are just some rough numbers. $30,000 to $45,000 to do this excavation, new black water pipe install, the electrical and the water hookups. What I showed in that drawing. Getting that. If we want to permit this thing and go full onboard business model, that's what needs to happen. And then once we do that, we're talking about between $8,000 to $10,000 in monthly revenue. So like 16 RV spots, 20 RV spots times say $500. That's a good amount of money as a business model. Even if it's not just us, like if we had to just rent this out and make a business model out of it, like that's numbers work. That's why I like it. So one of the other ideas is just building some yurts, we can like, and with a couple of those RV spots, create a situation where we can make even more money, $700-500 a month. What if we do some, my friend Kai, he had a yurt in the back of his house in the freaking ghetto off of Sutro. And he was renting it on Airbnb, and people were stoked to stay in a yurt. So, yeah, a yurt, one of those like bubble dome tent things. Have you seen those? Or you can just build, a dome or build a cool structure and put it on Airbnb. The location's great. We can totally do that, and that would be another potential.
Is there a possibility for yurts sort of on your little space?
It's the gray area. So that's where technically this should be mobile, and what I learned at the domes is you can do anything you want until the neighbors call it. And I was living there on the big white school bus for 6 months up on the hill, and they were fine. Nobody ever called. Like, went the main hiking trail there, so you can get away with a lot. And like I said, Plymouth County has really been pretty chill. So I'm very comfortable with just moving forward and doing what we can, and then when Mr. Inspector shows up, you're like, oh, is that the law? No, I didn't know. Tell me what I need to do, Mr. Inspector. Like, my whole history with this catering company is just, it's bullshit. They don't even know half the time. They're just talking to their boss and lands on somebody's desk, and then somebody makes a decision, like, fuck them. We're going to get away with what we can. And then when knowing what we have to do, but you can bend these laws, but for years, and nobody's even gonna notice. The guy was telling me, like, the guy with HCD and the Housing Community Development was like, they're managing all the RV parks in California. Imagine the shit that they're dealing with. So it made me aware of like the stuff that he has to go and deal with is people that are like illegally getting power off the lines and doing like crazy stuff. So if we have like a yurt, it's really not that big of a deal. Okay, so income projection, just some basic numbers. So here's the thing with the commercial property, with business, is we buy a property that has no operating income right now. It's worth $400,000. It's worth what the land is worth. Say after 2 years, we get this RV coming, the amount of income that we're coming in, that's now the value of the business. So we're talking about taking a business or property that's worth $400,000 to potentially doubling that or tripling that. Because now we have $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 of income coming in. That means our business is worth 10 times that. So it's like just as an investment, as a turnaround, even if this isn't the property, a couple years down the road, it could be worth a lot more than it is right now. So these are some other ideas for potential income. So we could sell produce, like I said, doing prepared food, like the food trucks. Reviving the restaurant would just be way too cost prohibitive, and it's not worth it in that area. It takes hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a restaurant up and running. So we could just not even do it ourselves, just hire some people with food trucks. Hey, come out, park your truck here for the summer and during the camping season. Obviously the healing art space for all of you to have some separate spaces to have clients come and do different things. It's kind of far, so it's a little bit not ideal for that, but like you guys have been doing at the domes, and certain clients were happy to go there just because the space was really nice. So events and weddings is something that potentially, depending, I don't know, just depends. It just depends on how it goes and how many people and how many RVs we have. And there's a way to, if we get a beautiful garden up and going, and on one side of the property have it designed for that long term, that is a potential way that you can make a good amount of money. Other options would be to do like a land use it for storage or something, worst case scenario. And just to get going, like we could go out and do this multi-level marketing style and just everybody go to your family and friends and say, hey, here's the vision, like we're just accepting donations, whatever we got, 20, 25 bucks, do a GoFundMe. We can raise a couple grand easily between us just to get some basic infrastructure stuff going. Or even have like a kind of a membership type thing where people pay in advance. We're going to give you discount membership because you're a visionary and seeing this, seeing the potential here and whatever. There's lots of options there. So here, beyond the practical thing of like all of our rent just going into our mortgage, our thing, there's some other just very practical ways. We are all driving around grocery shopping. We are all spending a lot of time and energy and gasoline doing this, buying food, preparing food. The economy of scale to make a dish for 2 people and make a dish for 10 people, it's not that much more work to do that. So just the law of efficiency, the assembly line model of how can we do things and do it in a way, multiply that, and like just the grocery shopping thing. I mean, I grew up in bumfuck Vermont. My mom was part of this cooperative, purchasing cooperative, that they would get together and they had this catalog and a distributor, and everybody would kind of place their order and somebody organize it, and she'd go and pick up her boxes of chips and salsa and cheese and all these things, and it's just very simple. But like just that, once a week, we go through, we take the order, we know how to do this. We can, if at that numbers, we can buy produce right from Veritable Vegetable. We can get stuff right from Zach and Casey at the farm until we're up and running and growing our own food, which is going to be huge. And then 1 or 2 people go and do this shopping trip. It's like Trader Joe's, Natural Grocers, Grocery Outlet, Costco, done. It's like half a day. How many hours did we just wipe off on everybody? We're all doing the same things. We're all doing the same, going through the same motions, doing the same movements. How can we work together to lessen that burden overall, collectively? Same thing, fuel, gas, just carpooling. There's lots of ways that we can just work together and figure out a way to save ourselves money by working together. The next one is maybe controversial, but it's just MLM plans. This is, in my opinion, the best way, the most effective way for independent wealth creation in this country, in the world. For the average person to become independent and wealthy, for the average person to create a level of financial freedom that is significant. And usually it's just like, situation, and you just end up going and nagging your friends, hey, doing my thing, whatever. And so, but if all it takes is like, if we have a group that's just willing to do it together, and all it takes is these couple people at the top saying, we're all going to put it back into the collective. We're all just going to put it back in. Then at 20 or 25 people, that's so easy. That is so easy. All it takes is a group of humans that say, we're going to do this together. You only need 2-3 people in your downline before you're at the place where your products are free, and then beyond that, cash starts to come in. So if everybody just says, okay, we're going to put this all into the pot, then we're basically paying $300 for the people at the bottom, and you're getting like 16 people's worth of free product and cash, and like at that point, thousands of dollars coming in. That would go into the collective. So offset the cost. So we're actually like a net positive plus a bunch of free product. Like that's there. That's really easy.
Can you explain what MLM plan is?
Yeah.
What's up?
I think we're still a little confused with that.
Multi-level marketing. So Purium, for instance. This is something Mason and I have discussed and be like, okay, we all sign up for Purium. Or you got to believe in the product. You got to have something that actually has a good product. But they have these compensation plans where basically it's like you just need a couple people in your downline, and then you're getting your products for free. And then you get a couple more people in your downline, and you got a little bit of residual income coming in. When you get 20 people in your downline, then you're at a point where you actually have a significant amount of income coming in.
And they've changed it up a lot. I'm in Purium. They've changed it up a lot. I actually just bought some products last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's different models, there's different compensation plans, but the idea is like our power is in numbers.
Yeah.
They,
And everybody has.
everybody, we are being kept separate, isolated, separated because that's how people are maintaining control. If we work together and a group of people with a common collective vision and a common goal, like we can do a lot. And this is just one like simple, easy way that we can just get some income coming in and do some things. So, yeah, we don't need to get too much into this. This is just too complicated. But basically, I've had lots of ideas of how this could work and different types of ways that people can buy in. So even if you guys, so there's people that don't want to move out to the property right now, like, or just want to be a part of this, but it's not, or maybe it's a year down the road, or maybe 2 years down the road works more. How can we work that out so people can buy in and still like have an equal part in the down payment, the purchase of the property, and the investment, and still work it out so that it feels equal, so that we have equality, and that also comes to like work hours. If somebody's working their ass off on the property 8 hours a day and somebody else is not, then it's like how does that get worked out? So there's a lot of discussion. We really don't need to get into detail. What happened here? So anyway,
I feel like those are some of the details that would cause those little knick-knacky like things later, though, and just like how do we keep the community together?
oh yeah, but I'm just saying like right now in this meeting is not the time to get into that, the nitty-gritty of all those things. That's where it gets a lot more complex, and that's where we go back to like all those SOPs and the documents and the things that are going to like how do we be proactive and foresee the challenges and create a structure so that we can work out this stuff diplomatically.
Because you're gonna have like a group of people putting in all, like you said, that effort at the beginning, and then
Yeah.
people then once you start turning a profit and be like, oh, I wanted to be a part of that, but I didn't get in when you guys were making money, but now you're making money, so do I have
Yeah, equality. So that's where it's like, if somebody sees the vision and gets in now and somebody else a year down the road is like, oh, I want to get in. Well, we've been working our ass off and took this business to now it's producing a couple $1,000s a month. Well, guess what? Like, it's whatever it is, like that appropriate rate is going to include the inflation, is going to include the additional income. So it's got to be equal. And the labor is really the thing that is the most challenging. And I want to create a situation where there's not like, a base amount of hours, everybody commits to a certain amount. Like, I just really want to prevent any situation where we have these expectations or a situation where we're going to set ourselves up to be let down. And what if it was really just like we just have a board, and like here's the hours, here's the board and the hours, and it's just like and it's no obligation, anything. If you're the person at the bottom of the board, it's fine, it's your choice. It's all good, but we're not going to prevent the situation and be like, oh, you did, do your thing, and you didn't work as many hours, and like all that stuff. If we just, that's real tricky. So I'm a couple hundred hours ahead of you guys. So. And I'm okay with that. I want to maintain that leader spot on the board. And there's no judgment and no anger, no harsh feelings about the person that's, maybe not contributing as much as they could. We just have to,
Someone wants to be chief.
I mean, do you
Well-
see how he's dressed right now?
For the brainwash.
What are we selling? What's the guacamole?
So let's circle up. Woo!